What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
I've been gallivanting across this country. Christian was gallivanting across other countries, but guess what, everybody? We are so back.
The Philadelphians are coming.
The gallivanting boys are back. Welcome into another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Christian coming at you. Christian was in Europe. I've been traveling for PLL, and we are finally back to put a bow on the Acolyte. I will be putting a bow on season 2 of House of the Dragon, with episode 8 having aired now. And then we will get into Comic Con and D23 and all the goodness that's going to come from there. And that will bleed into our news and notes, obviously. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN and StreamerSZN Pod on TikTok. Follow Christian at the Wiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It goes a long way for helping the show continue to grow. Helps more people find StreamerSZN and Underground Sports Philadelphia. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show, full video episodes of every show on our network, including our Olympics podcast that has been going on that Christian and I have been a part of. And the fun's not stopping there, because we will also, in a couple weeks, be covering the Paralympics on that podcast feed as well. So subscribe to Light the Flame and Olympics podcast on Apple, Spotify, and you can also view it on the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Smash that like button, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below. And, of course, guys, get your merch from our awesome merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. They are the best in the game. Get your StreamerSZN shirts and hoodies. The link is in the description. Rock those bad boys when you're going to the movie, seeing Deadpool, Wolverine, whatever movie you choose to go and see. And, of course, rocking at home, Netflix and chilling, whatever it may be. Go get your StreamerSZN merch. PHIapparel.co is the place to do it. And when you go to checkout, use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your merch orders. That's code UNDERGROUND at PHIapparel.co for 10% off your next merch order. Christian, we're back.
We are back, baby. Back.
It is time to put a bow on the Acolyte. It's been a while since the show finale occurred, but I'd say it was quite the turnaround from our penultimate episode breakdown to a degree.
It's almost like it was part of the main narrative and not a flashback.
It's almost like being part of the main narrative is important. We're going to get into the Acolyte finale. It's episode 8. But Christian, your overall takeaways from this episode and how it, summed things up for season 1 or potentially the series as a whole.
Three words: an unfulfilled wish.
Yeah.
Like it was like a car that was stuck in second gear.
Mm-hmm.
It would sometimes maybe get into third gear, but it never really got where we wanted it to be.
Yeah. It
and at times it slipped down to first gear.
Yeah. I will say this episode provided a lot of what we kind of wanted all along. We felt like that SpongeBob meme. It's what we've been waiting for. That's what we wanted all along. I will say the Acolyte as a whole provided us with some of, if not the best post, traditional trilogy lightsaber duels and choreography. I think that is one of the feathers in the cap for this show, that the lightsaber choreo and the fights were sensational.
I'll touch on it when we get into the episode, but there was one specific fight that had probably the biggest Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon vibes since like the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
So
without any further ado, let's get into the episode breakdown. Sol takes May to Brendock and sends their location to the Jedi. Osha has a vision of May and agrees to lead Chimere to her. A mysterious figure watches the pair depart, and in the ruins of the witch's fortress, Osha confronts May as Sol and Chimere fight. May disarms Sol, but chooses to let him live so he can confess his crimes to the Jedi Council. Sol reveals that May and Osha are the same person, created through the Virgins on Brendock, and admits to killing Anastasia. Osha angrily kills Sol using the Force, corrupting the Kyber crystal in his lightsaber, which turns from blue to red, which is the first time we have ever seen that happen, either live action or animated. And I gotta say, it was pretty wild to watch that occur.
Yeah, that was the transition from blue to red.
Yeah,
cool.
that was good.
Cool.
And I know there was some, like, the old saying goes, nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. There was a lot of Star Wars fans online that were mad about that. There was a lot of Star Wars fans that were like, this is fucking cool. I thought it was pretty fucking cool, not gonna lie. But she and May escape before Vernestra arrives with a group of Jedi and finds Sol's body. The sisters reconcile, and Osha agrees to train with Chimere. He uses the Force to wipe May's memory. And on Coruscant, the Senate grows weary of Jedi secrets and launches an investigation into the Order. Vernestra blames the murders of Indara, Torben, Kelnaka, and the witches on Sol, despite sensing Chimere's involvement. Chimere was once her apprentice, and she wants an amnesiac, May's help to find him. Vernestra reports to a Jedi Master, and that Jedi Master was none other than little Mr. Muppet, if you will, Master Yoda.
Much decision-making, I must say.
This episode had a lot of good in it as an episode. Will I classify it as a great finale? No, but it did a lot of good for this show throughout this episode, which I was like, I wish we could have gotten like this kind of vibe the entire time, because there was a lot of just like fun and, kind of what we expected from this show from the beginning, in this episode, and kind of that spy thriller and deceit and who do you trust type of vibe. But again, there was also some stuff that I was like, this could have happened a couple episodes ago. But overall, this was one of the better episodes of this series or season, however you want to classify it.
Yeah, it was definitely much. It was definitely back to a more functional level of actually moving the story forward and being compelling on a thematic level. But the problem is, it doesn't feel as rewarding because the show was so jumpy throughout, and especially the problem with the two flashbacks stuck right at the two momentum killing points. Like this, I don't think this show is a failure in story as much as it is storytelling structure.
Yeah.
And I know my grades may not reflect that, but we have to interpret how they're telling the story through the way they tell it. And while I feel like this could have just been like I don't know, like a mid Disney show because it wasn't really exceptional at anything to me, they bungled it, and it hurts to see.
Mm-hmm. This had potential too. I wouldn't say we would have ever thought it would have been in the classifications, at least for me, because I watched it, like the traditional Mandalorian, in the realm of the Acolyte. Like, we didn't have that expectation, but like the fact that a show like this, which could have had itself in like the Ahsoka pantheon or a little bit better than Ahsoka, like you said, fumbled this hard, is just a bummer and a letdown. And I my genuine takeaway from this show is that I don't think anything coming out of Disney Plus, like any director, whoever it may be, I don't care who they are, Disney Plus cannot do spy thriller type shows.
Except Andor.
Yeah.
But also you literally have the showrunner of that movie is an Oscar nominated screenwriter who's wrote a bunch of action thrillers. Is basically responsible for writing the entire Jason Bourne franchise, and was nominated for a pretty cool legal thriller in 2007. That was like one of the better films of the 2010s. So one of the better films of the 2000s. So it's just like, unless you have literal god tier talent doing this, Disney Plus quality is more infinitely more likely hitting than missing, which is sad. Yet, and not to step on news and notes, but Disney streaming made a profit this past quarter. That being said, Hulu and Disney Plus lost money, but ESPN Plus. So Hulu and Disney Plus lost a combined, I think it was like 18 million, but that basically meant that ESPN Plus was, what was it? It was evidently like plus 54 million. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see how this Disney Plus model changes, because they're already scaling back. Like they've turned TV shows into movies, but also, and again, we'll talk about this in news and notes, but I don't think some of these TV shows even need to exist that they're making for Marvel and DC and stuff. Marvel and Star Wars and stuff. So it's kind of like, are we really doing, like, I know we're all about getting the best content possible and getting eyes to stuff, but do we need to be making all this stuff? Like, what is the purpose?
Right. And the best part about all of that too, to touch on that a little more, is Disney Plus's subscription price is going up as well.
$2. Got $2 in October, and that's when I unsubscribe. Or so. Fun fact, and I think, and I heard this on a pod, so I don't know if it's 100% true, but pairing Disney Plus and Hulu with no ads is $1 more expensive than just one of them alone with ads. Which I'm like, that math isn't mathing, but
that's sure. Terrence Howard math. Which is what I also called Anthony Davis saying he had 2 words for the U.S. Olympic team yesterday, and he said Steph Curry, Joel Embiid. That's Terrence Howard math.
No. That is Charles Barkley math. Come on, think.
It's just terrible.
What is that infamous Charles Barkley cliff? Steve Nash something something must see TV, and they're like, Chuck, that was like 8 words.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's also a bummer that they wasted so much. Like this is the Star Wars version of Secret Invasion. They wasted so much like top tier talent that were cast in this show and just shit the bed.
I don't think it wasted as much as Secret Wars because all due respect to everyone involved, but Olivia fucking Colman, Oscar winner, like that was truly wasted. Whereas here, like, yes, Carrie-Anne Moss was, in my opinion, wasted in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
but show. But I also think like she was always in how the story was going to be told, like never going to be that heavy of a part of it. And I feel like if they did the restructuring we've kind of mumbled about, it would have been, we would feel different about her role in the show.
Yeah. And like Lee Jung Jae to me was like the Samuel L. Jackson, where it was like, here's his like big, next project following Squid Game, and then he watched Star Wars to learn English, and then for Secret Invasion that was Samuel L. Jackson's like television debut. They fumbled the bag so hard.
Yeah, just grim. But because we kind of glanced over, and it was the biggest part of the conversation around the finale, the shadowy figure from the cave watching them depart.
How we doing, Darth Plagueis? How you doing? First time in live action.
But do we want to unpack the, let's just say, faux controversy around everything?
Sure.
So everyone was mad because this implies Darth Plagueis did not come up with the plan for Anakin himself. He came up with the plan from Space Witch Cult of Women of Color, and this is a show, and this is a theme of white men appropriating things. It's like, guys, stop! It's not that deep.
My biggest takeaway from seeing Darth Plagueis in live action was the whole like rule that the Sith have, where it's they come in twos, as we've known historically in Star Wars. Which one is Darth Plagueis going to kill, or who's going to kill Darth Plagueis? Because
One
obviously,
fish, two fish, one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish.
yeah, lightsaber. Because Palpatine and Plagueis, that was Master Padawan type of situation there. It is interesting, like that. This is when Plagueis was kind of, and like it all comes around to, Osha and May's mom being able to use that virgins and create life, and that's a whole plot background for Plagueis. Is like that's what he tries to do, is create life from nothing. So it's like, how the fuck did was he harnessing the power there, or did he give it to them? Like, there's a lot that like we mentioned when we last talked about this show, that like as much of a fumble that this show would really benefit from a season 2 if they did it anywhere close to properly, which I can't say that they would, but there's so much that they can answer from that finale.
I mean, here's the thing: when it comes to a season 2, they shouldn't have any flashback shit they have to do. So in theory, but in practice, I don't know.
Yeah, it I will say Manny Jacinto, huge bright spot. I
Which,
enjoyed him a lot.
for people who may not know, Min Jacinto was in Top Gun Maverick and basically got cut out of the movie because he was one of the other pilots that was part of that crew. But like basically all but basically like half of those pilots he was pretty much cut out of the film. So it's as as people would generally say, if Tom Cruise chooses you to be in a movie, you're probably doing something good,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're probably worth keeping your eye on. So I'd say, even though the show was a general flop, I would say let's keep maybe just into over the next few years.
Yeah,
Just to see.
I liked him a lot. I think he's got a bright future and can be versatile in Hollywood and do a number of different roles. Like you said, like he was in Top Gun Maverick and then obviously got cut, but like that's a complete polar opposite to Star Wars, in my opinion, for just like what the medium is. But I got to reach out to this company. Speaking of, before we give our grades, no free ads, but it is basically it is perfect for what we do here, Christian. It is basically like the stock market, but for TV and movies. You can buy stock in actors, in movies, in shows.
Oh dear. I'm in trouble. I am in trouble.
And I was like, Christian would be able to figure out the market, no problem.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh bother.
Oh bugger! Please keep me away from that app, Kyle. Please, for all our safety, please keep me away from that app.
But I was like, damn, we need to get them on board as a sponsor.
I mean, hey, if they want to sponsor a segment, I'm here for the help. But that's a little dangerous.
Yeah. But let's give our grades for the Acolyte episode 8 and for the season as a whole. Christian, your episode 8 review. Would you like me to give you a rundown of your scores for each episode?
Please do.
So it went 8.8/7. Do you want the Star Wars or do you want the TV?
Give me the Star Wars scores, but I only would like the last, let's say 3.
Okay. The last 3 episodes Star Wars scores 7.1, 7.9, 2.5.
Okay. Star Wars scale, I'll give it a 6.4. TV scale, a 3.6.
So 6.4, 3.6. For me, I'll give this episode I'll give it a 7.3. Like it had a lot of good elements. It was in the upper tier of episodes of this season. It's just unfortunate that they couldn't follow the rest of the way to get to this point. But yeah, Christian, your overall score for the Acolyte.
What was my Secret Invasion score?
Your Secret Invasion score, back in 2023, you give Secret Invasion a 5.5 out of 10.
Can I alter that score?
We do say that they are open for interpretation and can be adjusted upon request.
How do I do this? What have we graded that's around a 5?
Let's see. Just in general or this year?
Just in general.
In general, television wise, it's been around a 5. Go back. So Secret Invasion overall got a 6.1 from us. That was one of our lowest scores to date. Mostly movies have gotten into that echelon. We haven't really gotten shows.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to demote Secret Invasion to a 3. And I'll put the Acolyte at 4.2.
So 3 flat for Secret Invasion or 3.5?
Let's say 3.3.
3.3.
For reasons I can't explain, where it's just like that definitely wasn't a 5. I feel bad putting it lower than that because there's good DNA there, but I fundamentally think that the Acolyte is a better show, but I can't rate the Acolyte better than a 5.
So you said 4.2 for the Acolyte?
You know what? Let's do 4.4. Shrug.
4.4.
Because I feel like if we fix the whole flashback episodes shenanigans, the show's not as bad as we feel it is. Like this is kind of a case where it's like if the two of us got in the editing room and combined those two into one episode, shoved it at the start, and then the other 5 episodes were then going in succession, I think I think that shows a 5.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as it stands, I can't put it high.
Let's see. What did I give Secret Invasion? A 6.9. I said it was nice.
Would you like to alter that score?
Remains to be determined. Okay. I'm gonna give the Acolyte a 6.7. Like, it had its moments that I was like, yes, like you're doing something here, and then that middle part of the season was just like, what are we doing? Like we've lost the theme of the direction we were going in and lost control of the ship. And there were moments where it was just like it felt like homework watching that show. And it was just like it lost a lot throughout that middle portion of the show. So I'll give it a 6.7. Like, it's watchable, but at the end of the day, is there a payoff? Probably not. You give it a 4.4, which the total is 11.1 divided by 2 is a 5.55, which rounds up to a 5.6 out of 10. One of our lowest scores to date on this show.
Oof.
Oof indeed. The Acolyte comes in at an oofing 5.6 out of 10. Luckily for everybody, I'll be breaking down House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 8, and putting a bow on a much better show that I am very excited for Season 3 of. And guess what? We get more Game of Thrones coming in 2025 with a very fun series that I'm pumped for. Can't wait for it. So I'm going to fly over to Westeros, break that down, and we'll be back with our Comic Con and D23 news and notes. So don't go anywhere. Hop on your dragons. Let's go break down House of. All right, everybody, we're here for the House of the Dragon Season 2 finale breakdown recap. A lot of people online as things unfolded in this episode were not too happy. I'm not in that camp, so hopefully a lot of you agree with me. I think this finale was awesome. I think I enjoyed it a lot because I knew going into this season that we have 2 more seasons of House of the Dragon remaining, which means there's a lot more to build upon, a lot more to expand upon, and you didn't need to blow the load all at once in your season 2 finale. I think this is awesome build-up, awesome setup for what's to come in Season 3. And I think Season 3 is going to be unbelievable cinema. So we will get into the episode here. But before we do, crack open an ice cold Kenwood Beer. This segment brought to you by Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. You can go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny Finder to see who has Kenwood Beer on tap in your area, Philly, Pittsburgh, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, or get it in your local liquor stores in those markets. Must be 21 or older to do so. And of course, please drink responsibly. So, Episode 8, titled The Queen Who Ever Was, the Season 2 finale. In Tyrosh, Tywin Lannister negotiates with the Triarchy's High Council for their fleet to help break the Valyrian shipping blockade. They agree but demand control over the Stepstones, and additionally, Admiral Shirako Lohar, a warrior woman referred to as he by the council, challenges Tywin to a mud wrestling match before agreeing to sail with him. Tywin wins, earning Lohar's respect, and they set sail for Westeros with the Triarchy's fleet. And in the Crownlands, enraged over Rhaenyra's new dragon riders, Aemond flies Vhagar to the Black Allied port city Sharp Point and incinerates it with dragon fire. During the march toward Harrenhal, Gwaine sees Criston and Alicent's handkerchief and accuses him of breaking the Kingsguard vows. Despondent, Criston expresses regret over past choices, telling Gwaine he believes they are headed towards annihilation by Rhaenyra's dragons. In King's Landing, Larys Strong tells Aegon about Rhaenyra's new dragon riders and Aemond's decimating Sharp Point. He also warns that Aemond's rage is an even greater threat to Aegon's life. Aegon wants Aemond in prison, but Larys argues Aemond and Vhagar are essentially assets to fighting the war, and having moved the bulk of Harrenhal's gold to Braavos' Iron Bank, Larys proposes that he and Aegon hide in Essos and return to reclaim the throne after Aemond and Rhaenyra have destroyed each other. Aemond demands that Helaena ride her dragon, Dreamfire, into battle, and when she refuses, Aemond reacts roughly, but Alicent intervenes, berating Aemond for being reckless and destructive. Later, Aemond tries gently persuading Helaena, but she again declines, revealing she knows he burnt Aegon and Sunfyre at Rook's Rest. She also says that she has foreseen his death in the war and Aegon retaking the throne. Later, Aegon and Larys secretly depart the city in a covered wagon. We see that in that final montage. And then at Driftmark, Corlys advises Rhaenyra to quickly utilize her newfound military advantage of more dragon riders. Corlys tries to bond with Alan, who rebuffs his paternal attempts, and Alan rebukes Corlys for never showing interest in him and Adam when his legitimate children were alive, leaving the brothers to suffer as bastards. Corlys and Alan set sail aboard Corlys' flagship, the Queen Who Never Was, to join the Valyrian blockade, obviously an homage to the Queen. Rest in peace to an absolute amazing character. At Harrenhal, Sir Alfred Broom arrives as Rhaenyra's emissary, and surveying Daemon's large riverman army, pledges to follow Daemon if he proclaims himself king. Overhearing their conversation, an alarmed Sir Simon Strong sends Rhaenyra a raven, warning that Daemon may be traitorous. At night, Alice Rivers leads Daemon to the weirwood tree, saying he is ready to see his fate if he wishes, and Daemon touches the tree and sees visions of the future. Brennan Rivers becoming the three-eyed raven, a White Walker leading an army of whites, a landscape of dead dragons, Daenerys Targaryen with her 3 dragon hatchlings, and Rhaenyra sitting on the Iron Throne. Helaena then appears to him, stating that Daemon now knows the full story and his role in it, and Rhaenyra and Adam arrive at Harrenhal on Dragonback, while Daemon reveals to Rhaenyra that he knows of the Song of Ice and Fire and reaffirms his loyalty to her. Bending the knee to her alongside the Riverman army, Broom retreats into the crowd like a coward. In the Vale, exhausted from scouting the harsh Vale countryside without sustenance or shelter, Rhaena finds the wild dragon as it devours sheep. We are eventually going to know that dragon as sheep something. I'm totally blanking. At Dragonstone, angered by Ulf's insolence, Jace threatens to hang him if he displays disloyalty or incompetence. Bela later empathizes with Jace and expresses her concerns about civilian casualties, as does Rhaenyra. Mysaria counsels her to remain strong as she has a major tactical advantage. And during supper, Rhaenyra promises knighthood to Adam, Hugh, and Ulf if they serve her well. She announces they leave in 2 days to attack Green strongholds, Lannisport, and Old Town. And late at night, Alicent secretly arrives on Dragonstone to meet with Rhaenyra. She admits to her faults that helped cause the conflicts and offers to allow Rhaenyra to peacefully take King's Landing and the throne after Aemon leaves for the Riverlands. In exchange, she pleads for her and her children's lives. Rhaenyra insists she must take Aegon's life to end the war and secure the throne. Alicent seemingly acknowledges that and departs the castle, promising that King's Landing's gates will be open in 3 days' time. And across Westeros, in the Reach, the Hightower host marches north, accompanied by Prince Daeron Targaryen on his dragon Tessarion at the Twins. House Stark's army crosses south. In the Westerlands, Jason Lannister and Humphrey Lefford lead their host east, and somewhere unknown, Otto Hightower is held captive. This episode fucking ruled, guys. Like the build-up and the cliffhangerness of this to really keep you on your toes, seeing everyone marching towards the inevitable war that's about to unfold in season 3 right before our eyes. I was ready to run through a brick wall during that final 5-minute montage that we got at the end of this finale. I thought this episode was fantastic. It culminated a beautiful storytelling season that delivered with action. It delivered with so much plot and so much knowledge. I thought this was such an awesome season of TV. It was truly, truly, truly a badass episode. And if you disagree, I don't know what to tell you. I think a lot of people are scarred from the way Game of Thrones ended and wanted just pure gore to end this season. That was never going to happen. They still have 2 more seasons to build out. You don't want to crush off everything you have in a finale and then have nothing to build upon, and then you have the same people complaining about Game of Thrones finale, complaining about the rest of House of the Dragon. It was never going to happen that way. I'm glad they did what they did because I thought this episode was so badass. It was awesome. It's absurd that it got a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, got an average of 6.3 out of 10. This episode ruled. And if you feel any differently, I'd love to hear from you. I love that Helen O'Hara and Carly Lane from IGN and Collider respectively gave it an 8 out of 10. The AV Club gave it a B+. Den of Geek, Games Radar Plus, and Vulture gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. 5 out of 10 from CBR is crazy. I genuinely enjoyed this episode so much. I thought it was so well written, so well executed, and the culmination of everything at the end to really just have you yearning for more. And I guarantee when all 4 seasons of House of the Dragon are out in, 4, 5, 6 years, this binge and watching the culmination of season 2 bleed into season 3 is going to be so awesome, and all of you are going to have revisionist history if you didn't believe in this episode. I thought it was so well done. I think about that scene towards the end with the build-up and just everyone coming together and getting ready to go to battle and seeing all the different walks of life that we're seeing in House of the Dragon just come together and get ready for an absolute bloodbath. I was ready to run through a brick wall. I thought it was such a great montage, such a great, awesome finale. House of the Dragon Season 2, hands down, one of the best shows we've watched on this show all year long. It's up there with X-Men 97. It's up there with some of the best shows we've watched in general, from The Last of Us, from Everything All Everywhere All at Once is a movie, from original Mandalorian, from Ahsoka to House of the Dragon Season 1 was fantastic, to Peacemaker Season 1, Daredevil, Moon Knight. Like, we've watched so many awesome shows, and we've watched a lot of in-between and middle-of-the-road shows as well, but House of the Dragon Season 2 stuck the landing for what a Season 2 was supposed to be. There's still so much more to come out of King's Landing, out of Westeros with this show, and genuinely, looking at my scores, so episode 1 I gave it a 9.2, episode 2 a 9.4, 3 I gave a 9.7, I gave a 10 out of 10 for episode 4, a 9.7 for episode 5, a 9.4 for episode 6, a 9.8 for episode 7. This episode was brilliant. I loved this episode, and it's crazy that episode 1 is the lowest score I'm giving. This episode is going to get a 9.7 out of 10 from me. It was brilliantly done, brilliantly written. I loved every single piece of detail in this episode. I'm such a huge fan. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I hopefully one day can sit down and binge through season 1 and season 2 to kind of get a culmination of what we have so far. But just a brilliant, brilliant episode of TV and a brilliant season of TV. I genuinely was stunned by how many people did not like this episode and feel like it's left the series flat. You're out of your minds. I genuinely would argue that with anybody. I thoroughly think this season did its job in what it was supposed to do, and it stuck the landing perfectly, the King's Landing, if you will. And our average score for House of the Dragon Season 2 is going to be a 9.6 out of 10, which becomes the highest rated program we have watched on this show in quite some time, and it is the highest rated show by 0.1 over X-Men 97 Season 1, but looking at it in the 9.6, since I'm the only one that watched it, that goes up there with The Last of Us Season 1, and it goes up there with Peacemaker Season 1 at a 9.5, Daredevil as a show at a 9.3, Moon Knight at a 9.4, Stranger Things Season 4 is a 9.5, House of the Dragon Season 1 got a 9.1, so an improvement in my book, season over season. And you look at just the way this show culminated was so brilliant, so much fun. I couldn't be happier. I genuinely love how this show turned out. You should too. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know how you feel about the way that this show went and your thoughts on where season 3 can go, your expectations for season 3 following season 2. And if you're in the same boat as me, I would love to hear from you. Leave a comment in the YouTube comment section. And here's to another awesome season of House of the Dragon. And I already cannot wait for season 3. Whenever it comes around, I'll be locked and loaded and ready to go and flying high with the dragons. So let's go, baby. House of the Dragon season 2 gets a 9.6 rating from me. Let me know how you feel about it in the YouTube comment section. And we're going to fly back to myself and Christian breaking down the rest of this episode. So thanks for tuning in to House of the Dragon Season 2 with me all season long. It's been a ton of fun, and looking forward to watching more shows and movies with you guys on more episodes. See ya. All right, we are back with Comic Con and D23 news. We're recording this as D23 is happening, so we may not get to everything that happens at D23, but we're going to try to keep tabs on the stuff that is happening. But we are going to recap Comic Con, give our thoughts on all the big stuff that went down. Obviously, you all know what went down and the big thing that went down. But Christian, your overall takeaway from the big news. We'll start there. It's the only way to start. New mask, same task. Robert Downey Jr. is back in the MCU as the one and only asterisk Dr. Doom.
I was going to say don't just say one and only, because I mean the prevailing theory here is he's a Doom variant that's going to exist in the whatever the 1940s thing. But here's my biggest gripe with this, and my general problem is they will never do this ever because they're too scared. The best way for Marvel to solve the ongoing issue they're having at this time is simply to this. I mean, ideally, you wouldn't have cast Downey as Doctor Doom to begin with, because if we're being honest, if you would have drugged anyone back to play Doom, it should have been Mads. It should have been Mads Nicholson, because he's perfect. He's made for Doom, and he may still get to be Doom. Shrug. But this just it feels weird, because we don't know if they will actually shove him, but behind the mask, and for how much time and for how many films. But it's kind of a situation where the ideal way they should have played this was Doom gets introduced in Fantastic Four. Well, gets teased at the end of Fantastic Four or whatever. Doom, is it Doomverse now?
Doomsday is
Doomsday,
the Avengers
pardon.
5.
Doomsday happens. Everyone ends up on Battle World. Doom wins, and we get a hard reset for Marvel to just go hit the refresh button and just solve all the issues they're having. But this brain doesn't have the balls to do it, and bringing down in it as Doom, even if it's a Doom variant, is a symptom of a problem, and it's a distraction, in my opinion.
I do think he is a Doom variant, because he is confirmed for 3 movies, and it's the ones you just laid out. It's Fantastic Four, Doomsday, and Secret Wars.
I would expect him to be in at least 2, because there's a movie called Doomverse.
And I do think he is I feel like he is the Tony Stark variant, because I think that's what it's going to end up being in the Fantastic Four's universe, because it's already confirmed that the Fantastic Four are in a different timeline than the 616 Sacred Timeline, and then they're going to get pulled in for, I believe, both Avengers movies. I think they're confirmed for both, if I'm not mistaken. I'd be shocked if they weren't, but I think he's that era, and it makes sense to a degree where you're gonna more than likely have the Avengers teaming up with the Fantastic Four at some point, and you're going to have Thor, you're going to have Sam Wilson as Captain America, you're going to have all these people who know Tony Stark as Iron Man, and you're going to have that shock factor from your new Avengers lineup being like, what the fuck is going on? And then we're the big thing I'm taking away too from watching all the Deadpool and Wolverine like press junkets is Kevin Feige keeps calling Ryan Reynolds Deadpool like Deadpool Prime, and he's using that Prime moniker a lot. And I think we're going to get like Doom Prime, or in this essence, God Emperor Doom. And I think that's the plot line they're going down with. And I will say, I'm happy that the Russo brothers are back.
My one counterpoint, you should have just fucking recast Kang. You could have just recast the fucking character.
I do think Tony Stark Doom is going to... It's going to be like a wide shot, so you're not going to be able to see the faces. But I think Tony Stark Doom is going to blow up that Council of Kangs Coliseum to start off his movie.
Yeah, but here's the fundamental thing. Before Jonathan Majors torpedoed his career and fumbled one of the biggest bags ever, the ideal way this would have played out was Kang leads us into Secret Wars, Doom gets involved, Doom wins Secret Wars and causes hard reset, and then by virtue we jump from the Sacred Timeline stuff to just, we're now just basing this in a different universe because it's multiverse and there's people everywhere. But again, Marvel's painted themselves so far into a corner here that they'll never jump universes. But why?
I did see somebody, I think it was New Rockstars, may have brought it up, or it may have been heavy spoilers, one of the two. So I apologize for miscrediting one way or the other. Where they did bring up a good point about Loki and the end of Loki season 2, where he's now the god of stories, Loki from the comics, and he's kind of the one controlling the timeline now. And from what I remember, if I'm remembering this correctly, Loki season 2 was being filmed kind of at the same time as Deadpool and Wolverine. And it was like right in line with the release, obviously, of Ant-Man Quantumania. And there were some late edition like reshoots to Loki season 2 that we talked about on this show. And I think now the way that they're positioning themselves, because as you mentioned, Jonathan Majors torpedoed his career and fumbled the largest bag of all time, up until now when Robert Downey Jr. just acquired that largest bag of all time. I think Loki's kind of the one now in control, and we don't really know what happened to Kang in Quantumania. Everyone's like, oh, he survived. Did he die? I think Loki's the one kind of pushing the buttons now for just the timeline movement, and Tom Hiddleston is more important to this next portion of Marvel than he ever was. I think your mic's muted.
Well, I don't disagree. This last 5 years of Marvel, the biggest problem is we have no reason to care about anything because we like it's just like Secret Wars. And it's like, okay, but what are we supposed to care about for the next 10 years? Because they don't give us these unifying events. They don't give us these compelling characters. They don't give us. It's just like here's two people. Here's an introduction of one. Here's an introduction of another. Here's Spider-Man. But then we're going to reset everything. But then we also don't know when we're doing another Spider-Man. It's like, what are we doing?
And I think that's a product of a lot of things, but I think the biggest one, I forget where I saw this, but it was when Disney Plus was like coming to be, and I forget who was talking about it, but it was like we were hired to do movies, and then it was like, hey, we have a streaming platform, so we have to pivot and start making TV shows. And I think we might have talked about this, where like nobody that Marvel hired had ever worked on TV, and that was kind of evident in a lot of their projects. Like I'd say maybe we got 4 pretty solid to good TV shows out of Marvel to this point.
Are we counting each season of Loki individually or as one show?
I was kind of grouping Loki together.
So Loki, you'll talk up WandaVision.
I think WandaVision's in there. I think Moon Knight was pretty solid.
Solid, I'll give you that. Flawed, yes. Solid, sure.
Trying to think of the other shows. See, that's another problem. Like
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
And I can't even like knock that show. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier had its own issue that was almost in above its head because the script was written around a global pandemic. And it got, their hand got forced to kind of redo a lot with that show. So like that was kind of out of their control to a degree. Miss Marvel was fun. Was it a good show? It was fine. I wouldn't put it in that echelon that we got there. And then your other 2 shows are your Marvel animation, and those have been leaps and bounds better than a lot of the live action you've put out. And that's What If, and obviously X-Men 97 was a smash hit. And genuinely, I think some of the Marvel one-shots and your holiday specials have been better products than some of your overall TV shows.
Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
Werewolf by Night. Like, a lot of these were better overall products and more entertaining as one-shots, as specials, than some of your 6 to 8 episode shows. And I think Marvel also fumbled the bag in a lot of ways where they put themselves in this cookie cutter of every show we do has to be 6 episodes, unless it's this big spectacle. But 6 episodes, it's take it or leave it. And you can't operate that way. If you set a boundary for yourself, you're never going to succeed, because then people are not going to watch. You're going to lose viewers. You're going to lose subscribers, and then the show gets canceled. That's how it works. And Marvel did it to themselves in a lot of ways. But I mean, you put Robert Downey Jr. back in the MCU, you're going to get ticket sales. I'll tell you that much.
That's guaranteed.
But I am happy that, the Russo brothers are back, that one of the duo of Marcus and McFeely are back. I'm sure both of them will be at some point, but I think it's McFeely is writing the script now for Doomsday. Getting that crew back together solidifies that, like, if you're doing an Avengers movie, these are your Avengers directors. And for anybody that doesn't know, this group, this crew, were responsible for writing and directing Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. Some of the biggest smash hits the MCU has ever seen. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, and that's why I'm just like waiting to see what else happens in the MCU before I even like cast judgment on the casting, on what is to come, because we don't even know an inkling of what the storyline is going to be yet. Sure, we know it's some sort of Doom storyline, but it remains to be seen the approach that they're going to make. So until we get closer, what is it, 2025, 2026?
2026.
Doomsday is coming out.
6 is Doomsday.
So we have a little bit of time before that is supposed to drop. So I'm not overly, anxious to start, picking at feathers on that movie just yet. We have a lot of things that are allegedly going to happen.
Like a Blade movie.
There's only one Blade, Christian. I know that got a great laugh out of you in Deadpool.
It would if it wasn't spoiled for me.
It's great. I was dying. I don't know how I avoided spoilers.
Yes, well, see, my problem is I had to wait 8 days because thank you, AMC Theaters, for forcing your staff to wait 8 days to be able to use their crew passes to see Deadpool and Wolverine when...
Silly.
I wouldn't call it fully silly. I mean, like, if we're talking, like, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, sure. But, like, no one shows up to a theater on Wednesday during the day.
Yeah. Trying to think of what else they announced at Comic Con. I know they gave a it wasn't exactly like a true sneak peek, but it was like set footage that Matt Shackman put together from the Fantastic Four movie that was on like 54 millimeter, and
it was a sizzle reel.
Yeah, and it was like all like kind of like set footage and like blue screen stuff that they've done so far. But they did reveal a Galactus at Comic Con in Hall H, which was pretty cool. Everyone that was there, which has me excited, has been waxing poetic about the cast that is the Fantastic Four and how they are all just so perfect for their roles. And Pedro Pascal is putting on a clinic of 1960s like nerd scientist, and I am I'm over the moon ready to see this cast as the Fantastic Four.
Yes, it is. They have very good chemistry, it seems. They have extremely good chemistry.
Which is like fascinating because I feel like the only two that have worked together, and I don't even know if they were on the show at the same time, were Pedro Pascal and dude who's playing Johnny Storm, Joseph Quinn, because they were both in Game of Thrones. But I don't even know if they were on the same season or not because I haven't watched Game of Thrones yet. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want me to. But it is always fun to see actors who don't or have not traditionally like worked together just have like that instant chemistry, and job well done by the casting crew to get those four to sign on and be part of this, because I'm very excited to see them all kind of bounce off together and do their thing, because I think I'm genuinely, this is one of the first Marvel movies in a long time that, outside of the nostalgia factor of, you know, Spider-Man No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine, that I'm excited about the Fantastic Four potentially getting like a good story.
Now, see, here's the real question, though. Will Paul Rabel be at the premiere?
Yes.
Fantastic.
I genuinely was stunned. Speaking of that, if you don't know, Paul Rabel dates Sue Storm.
Crossover.
The crossover of my life. Because I remember texting you about this last year. We were like, why the fuck were they in like Des Moines, Iowa together?
And we go, this isn't fair, this isn't fair, this isn't fair.
But it is funny. I forget if I sent it to you. So last year, 2023, in Fairfield, Connecticut, at PLL Fairfield, she was in attendance.
Oh, the fuck, she in Connecticut?
I was within 5 feet of her last year and had no clue.
Kyle.
I had no clue. She was sitting on President's Row last year in Fairfield, Connecticut. I was like, what the fuck?
Motherfucker, did you not hear British women speaking and what the fuck is happening?
Clearly not.
You fucking twat.
I probably heard all the 12-year-olds losing their mind over Chris Kreider being there. But I saw on her Instagram like a week or two ago. I was like, what the fuck? I was in the same stadium as this woman.
Oh, well.
She was on her Invisible Woman grind already. Couldn't see her.
Dear.
Trying to think of what else happened at Comic Con. Let's see. One of these days we'll get to Comic Con as well. That'll be a fun trip one day.
We'll go from Phoenix, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA. We'll keep on running it, baby.
Let's see. I know the Fantastic Four stuff happened. I know, obviously, Downey happened.
What else was announced Marvel-wise before?
Up here.
We'll just pull up the full list of Comic-Con announcements, which we probably should have done before we started the segment.
Whoops. They announced a bunch of like physical like comics that are happening.
Thunderbolts.
Here's my thing with the Thunderbolts, and everyone is this way. Shout out to my guy Eric Voss, because he's losing his mind about it. What the fuck is the asterisk? Why is there an asterisk next to the name? I need answers, Feige. I need answers. What is with the asterisk next to the Thunderbolts name? But Thunderbolts, they were all in attendance, and David Harbour did David Harbour things and showed up wearing his costume, and nobody else was in costume, which was great.
David Harbour thing.
Absolutely. We also got footage from Captain America: Brave New World, and Harrison Ford was there, and apparently they did some like CGIing, and you saw Red Hulk freaking out.
Which can we just appreciate how we're going to have to deal with 6 more months of a Harrison Ford press tour of him just not giving a flying fuck.
Also, Marvel is on quite the tear with being on their Simpsons grind for world events and predicting some things. You know, if you've seen the trailer for Captain America: Brave New World, you kind of know what I'm talking about when it comes to Harrison Ford and somebody launching a nice little bullet towards him.
Magneto, is that you?
A red president. But yeah, Hall H. It was good to have Marvel back at Hall H. They haven't been there, I think. What's it been since like 22 that they skipped last year, and it's felt like an eternity.
Speaking of people who have been skipping these things, shall we briefly touch on DC?
Sure thing. Lead the way, my friend.
James Gunn changed the logo. Your thoughts?
Yeah, he's doing James Gunn things.
We got more photos of Superman, which they just stopped, which they just wrapped filming on, which is nice. James Gunn had like an hour of talking on a panel. I can't think of anything else for that for me off the top of my head.
Yeah, okay. It was like a lot, but not at the same time from Comic Con this year, where there wasn't much Star Wars. I think they were saving that for D23. I think all of the TV stuff for Marvel they're saving for D23, which I think is the way that it should be for Marvel. Like, present your big shit. Same thing with Star Wars, Marvel, Star Wars, DC. Where present your big shit, your big ticket movies and everything like that at Comic-Con on the big stage, and then you have your D23. You have HBO Max's version of that, whatever that may be. Yeah. You present your television there because it's more niche, it's more quantified to you, and then it gives people something else to look forward to watch. But I think they went about it the right way with just showcasing movies at Comic-Con this year, and I'm sure D23 with Marvel, we will get, or at least I'm hoping we get some of the following. We get like another Agatha trailer. We get a Daredevil trailer. Trying to think of the other show that's on the docket this year for them. Something else too. More Captain America potentially. An update on Blade maybe, and just say, hey, yeah, it's delayed. Like, and give us a reason why, even though we know, but just like be forefront about it and don't just have like leakers and news outlets reporting that, hey, our movie's postponed for a 6th time.
Just tell us why. Tell me why.
Bye.
Deadpool.
But yeah, I mean, Comic-Con D23 are always exciting times most of the time. Biggest news so far from D23 is recording this.
There's a lot of news, so why don't we just start running? So I've got the entire discussing film timeline set up. So we'll start with the first thing that was announced, as I just keep scrolling back down. Avatar 3 renamed to Avatar Fire and Ash. Any thoughts, Glenn? Any thoughts on your beloved Avatar?
I didn't see Avatar 2.
Shame.
It's one of those things that like didn't move the needle for me to go and see. I don't know. Good for Jim Cameron.
Dwayne Johnson will star in Monster Jam, a movie about monster truck drivers.
So he's doing a Disney version of Fast and the Furious / Hobbs and Shaw, and it's going to be monster trucks instead of street racing.
Sure.
Lightning McQueen.
True. We got more trailers from Moana 2. Again, something that doesn't need to exist, but sure. Keep running that up here. There's going to be more running of the Inside Out IP as we get Dream Productions, which is set inside Riley's head, and it's about how dreams are made. There's Pixar's first long-form TV show coming out in December called Win or Lose, which involves a baseball team. We're getting Toy Story 5, which is going to be about toys going up against electronics. And I once again ask, why do we keep making these films when we keep saying goodbye to these characters?
Yeah.
What? Pixar has a movie called Hoppers coming out in 2026. And it follows a girl who switches brains with beavers to learn about the secrets of beavers. John Hamm will voice the mayor trying to destroy the beavers' home.
Okay, Christian, we're going to see this movie together. It
hits blunt real hard.
I need Jeff Foxworthy to be in this movie.
You might be a redneck.
If you've ever gone to see a movie about beavers, you might be a redneck.
Okay. Hold on, Kyle. I'm quickly sending you this tweet, and that because it has an image from it, and I need you to look at this image.
Oh boy.
And ask and give me an answer of what and who and how. What? Pardon?
Robot beaver.
Okay, so that's the thing.
I don't know if you saw one of the follow-up tweets to this. Allegedly, this got the animators from Spider-Verse.
Are we sure about that?
Allegedly.
Brad Bird is still stuck in director's jail and he's making Incredibles 3.
See, that's an IP that, like, I'm okay with that getting a trilogy.
Same. But Brad Bird needs to be let out of the director's jail. Like, please, can we let Brad Bird out? Our favorite little wacky guy, Ki Hui Kwan, will voice a snake in Zootopia 2 called Gary.
Okay, I'm all in for that.
Frozen 3 is coming in 2027.
Let it go. Let it go. I can't do this anymore.
And that should be us all caught up at this point, but yeah, beavers.
Darn beavers.
Which speaking of beavers, Kyle, I need you to watch Hundreds of Beavers.
Hundreds of beavers?
I'll introduce you to it after our pod.
Oh boy.
I need you to watch Hundreds of Beavers.
From the director of The Barbarian.
And the best part is, I'm sure 99.9% of our listeners have no clue what hundreds of beavers is,
Nope.
and they're gravely concerned as I'm giving no context.
Oh God, that would be even more concerned. Jeez. Oh man. Let me see if anything else popped up on my timeline in terms of
A stage musical adaptation of The Greatest Showman's in the works. That's the latest thing.
Oh, our friends at Culture Crave are tweeting some things.
Oh dear.
So let's see. We got a first look at Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova in the Thunderbolts. Looking mint as ever. Let's see. They're tweeting some stuff. Good logo for The Incredibles 3, by the way.
Yep.
We also got a teaser for Toy Story 5 as well.
Which again, it doesn't need to exist.
Which I got more of the plot line. An army of 50 malfunctioning Buzz Lightyear toys will be the villains.
Tell me why.
Let's see if there's anything else that pops up before we get up on out of here.
I mean, there's none. There are non-Disney things we can touch on. Because we've been away for so long. What's something fun I could bring up? We got our first trailer for Paddington 3, Paddington in Peru. Looks wonderfully cute. Oh, Kyle, did you watch the trailer for Saturday night?
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine text me about that too and said it looks so fucking good. I was like, yep. I'm in.
Nature's healing.
Also, it's TV adjacent, but Sesame Street has been absolutely crushing it at the Olympics. The content that Elmo, Cookie Monster, and Abby Cadabby have been producing that's targeted at 90s babies, yet still keeping it fun and kid-friendly, but knowing that there are subtle adult undertones is absolutely hilarious. And I don't think I've ever seen Caleb Dressel more ready and on edge to burst out laughing than when he was getting interviewed by Cookie Monster.
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about two teasers that came through. Confirmed for December 26th. A show I left off my top 10 because we did not know 100%.
Oh, yeah.
If it was going to be this year. I said if it was going to be number 2 and number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, our day after Christmas present is Squid Game Season 2.
Merry Chrysler. I'm so pumped. And they announced Season 3 is 2025, which will be the final season.
It seemed implied that it was 2025, but they didn't necessarily say 2025 as much as it was like the final season coming up. And I think they maybe said next year, but I also don't trust them to get it done because
it did say 2025.
Oh, okay. But more importantly, Season 2, more Daddy Pedro, The Last of Us Season 2, confirmed 2025.
We do have, we just got the first trailer for Skeleton Crew from Star Wars, as they are up now at Hall H, or for D23, I'm sorry. It will be a 2-episode series premiere December 3rd.
I don't care about Skeleton Crew, which is sad to say, but
I'm kind of intrigued by that show. I mean, it can't be worse than the Acolyte, right? Right?
I mean, if it is, we've got bigger problems on our hands. Am I forgetting anything? Scrolling. What happened with the pie? Oh, I mentioned this earlier, but in the mold of the truly horrific iCarly reboot, they're rebooting Wizards of Waverly Place.
I saw that.
Because why?
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, good for them getting Selena Gomez back, because allegedly she's coming back, but why?
One for all the real heads, Rebecca Ferguson's joining the Peaky Blinders movie.
By the order of the Peaky fucking Blinders. That's
I'm
pretty
a
sweet.
very happy man. very, very happy man.
While we wait for anything else to come, I did want to pick your brain one more thing on Dr. Doom. Obviously, you said Mads being your obvious pick to just bring him back, but if you could cast somebody new to kind of be like the longevity Dr. Doom, who are you picking?
I mean, that's the tricky thing. Because theoretically, you want a Doom who could do, let's just say, 7 years, right? So here you're talking someone who's right now in their 40s.
Like early 40s, too.
Yeah.
Because everyone online was like, Cillian Murphy was right there. It's like, by the time Secret Wars comes out, he's going to be in his 50s.
And then you kind of just look at it. And so the thing for me is I first go and think European. Because, and now there's a whole thing on people wanting a Romani actor, which
Right.
I get, but I'm not going to wade into that war. I mean, one of my dream casts, and this is me saying this fully realizing this puts him into IP jail even more. Mr. Michael Fassbender. Just man was the best Magneto. I don't care. He was the best Magneto. So him, Alexander Skarsgård could be fun, but I feel like he's sounding too American now after all these years. And I don't know.
Christian, I have updates on your one and only Star Wars Sweet Baby show. Andor Season 2 will take place over 4 years.
Minor concern, but it's Tony Gilroy, so I have faith.
Could you imagine if that meant over like the next 4 real life years?
I would. Is this show still existing in 4 real life years? What else could we be missing?
Well, the streaming package that we talked about has its price. The sports streaming. Was it a venue?
Which the price doesn't even make sense.
No.
Because why would I pay that much for that when just read your tweet?
Literally, my cable is like half the price of that, and I get all of those sports packages plus Netflix, Apple TV, Peacock, and HBO Max, all in my cable. Why am I going to pay extra for that? Plus, I get all the sports packages. So I got MLB Network, I get NFL Network, I get all of that. Why am I going to pay $42.99 to just watch games? There's no need. There's no need. They officially confirmed Ben Mendelsohn officially returning in Andor Season 2 as well.
Okay.
Also, Charles Barkley staying at TNT. Kind of a surprise.
I can't wait until they drag Charles Barkley at the playoff baseball games, and drag him off to other random games where there's sports rights, and it's Charles Barkley on the street.
Now listen here, Shaq. Bryce Harper can hit a ball so damn far, and the Phillies are going to win the World Series.
Oh, I don't know about that, Charles.
That's just terrible, Chuck. Now, I don't know about the Atlanta Braves, but they're not going to make the playoffs, Shaq. Ernie, I hate to tell you, I know we're on a Turner Sports Network, but the Atlanta Braves are not good.
Well, Chuck, I don't know about that, Chuck. Okay,
Forrest Whitaker also confirming to return as Saul Guerrero in Andor Season 2.
Which we got him in like a single episode.
Yeah.
So, it's the people who played smaller roles will play bigger roles, etc., as things go.
I am intrigued to see. This would be a cool twist because obviously they mentioned this when Andor was becoming a show, that this is all leading up to everything we see when Rogue One begins.
So you're interested in, and I might guess this is the transition point.
The transition point, and at the end of Andor, do we see burnt up head of Hayden Christensen putting on the Darth Vader mask?
I'm more interested to see because basically the final shot of last season was the panels they were building in the prison being put on the Death Star. So I'll be interested to see how we get closer to that.
So it will be a 1-year time jump every 3 episodes.
Okay, that's not bad. And hold on, if we check, does it change with the writers? Because that's my next question. Scrolling. Gary writing first 3, William writing next 3, Dan writing next 3, Bissell writing next 3. Perfect, guys. You did it. You did the smart thing. We did it, Kyle.
We did it.
Alright, one last one on Disney news. What do we got?
Let's see if there's anything else that pops up. Let's click the D23 hashtag.
Trending.
Dave Filoni, less than a minute ago, we're putting Star Wars back on the big screen.
Thanks, Captain Obvious. It's only going to be almost a decade. Because what Mando Grogu's 25 or 26?
25. I want to say maybe 26. Allegedly, there's a new trailer for Mufasa the Lion King.
A movie I refuse to watch. I refuse with all my heart to watch it because they never should have made a live action, a quote unquote air quotes live action of Lion King. Like, why couldn't you just do old hand drawn stuff or like use the X-Men 97 technology and not the photorealistic bullshit? I don't care if Beyonce's in it. I don't care if Barry Jenkins is directing. I'm sorry, I'm not watching this movie just based on principle.
Also, everyone's freaking out because Kevin Feige was wearing a Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man hat yesterday.
Thanks, Kevin. Gee whiz.
And let's see. Jude Law is on stage for Star Wars right now.
Baseball is life.
So we got a first teaser for The Mandalorian. Grogu reveals the return of the Razor Crest ship, and Zeb will appear in Mandalorian Grogu. Fuck yes. That was unexpected. I wasn't expecting to see a teaser for that. Good on them. May 2026, Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah, and so just so we can see this, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and
Something Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
That came out in 2019. It's gonna be 7 years. Yeah. Not great. Not great, but
yeah, next week we'll have a full-on recap of D23 because I'm sure a whole lot more stuff's going to come out, and we'll have it all junkated here for everybody. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN and StreamerSZN Pod. Follow Christian at the Wiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the pod on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Get your merch, phiapparel.co. Use code Underground for 10% off your order. And this has been another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Christian, I'm KB. We'll see you guys next week. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. Peace.